Personally, I like chatting lads on the bus on the way to games, but Corey White always brings the boombox and he'd have tunes going there.
What's your own GAA journey?
I suppose starting off, would have started off with the club at underage level, like any young lad does. Started off with, I'd say, under fives, under sixes. My parents are big GAA people, so they would have got me going straight away. And I suppose I have fond memories of kicking around in the backyard with my brother. He's a year and a half older than me, so two of us were big Offaly fans. And naturally, I suppose even at that age, you're conscious of what's going on around you. You kind of look up to the Offaly lads. And back then, I suppose, especially as we got a bit older, the big thing was, wanting to play with the Offaly minors. There was a couple of guys in our club that were playing with the Offaly minors, and like James Keane, Paul McConway, and I suppose you looked up to those guys even when I was 12, 13, and yeah, you just wanted to, I suppose, be like them. And little did I know, in a couple of years I'd be playing on the same team as those guys, and they were a huge inspiration to myself and my brother. And I suppose for myself, I was lucky enough as well. I would have played a good bit of, I suppose, games against my brother's friends and that, and they were always quite competitive, and they were nice enough to bring me along in that as well. So yeah, that's how my GAA journey started, and I was lucky enough to end up on a minor panel then in my second year minor, and kicked on from there. Played 2 years under 21, and was lucky enough to make my senior debut then in 2015, so haven't looked back since, thankfully. When
you were younger then, you said you were kicking around ball as a young fella. Do you ever think that you'd be playing for Offaly seniors one day, or what?
I suppose that was always the hope, yeah. I suppose you don't really think you're ever going to make that level when you're that age. You're just focused on having fun and kicking around in the backyard, I suppose. But as the years go on and you see Offaly teams maybe playing the odd time on telly, and you're going up to Croke Park yourself. I suppose 1997 is my first real memory of Offaly winning a Leinster final, and naturally you want to become like those guys, because a couple of guys from Tullamore, they were like heroes in the town, when Offaly were relatively successful back in the late 90s anyway. And yeah, it was always a dream of mine when I was younger anyway, and to get to fulfill that dream is truly special. So yeah, very, very happy that it's come to fruition like that, I suppose.
What do you do with it the night before, or whatever, a big game like?
Bit of stretching, foam roll and that kind of thing, just to relax. And I suppose I tend not to try and think about the game too much either. Do a good bit of preparation in terms of mental preparation, and even watching a couple of clips of the opposition there the week leading into the game. But the night before the game, and just focus on just getting the proper meals in, making sure you're well fueled, and just making sure you're relaxed, and trying to hopefully get a good night's sleep as well the day before the game.
Declan, is there any hidden gems in your county if I was to go to Offaly one day? Is there any place you'd recommend or anything like that?
One place I like to go to clear the head anyway when I have time is the local golf club there. I do enjoy a couple of holes of golf anytime I get the chance in mid-season. It can be difficult to get the time, but it's always peaceful, and it's always great to go out and get a walk in nature there, and even better when you're taking a bit of money maybe off your friends as well. So yeah, Tullamore Golf Club, definitely a good place to spend a day anyway, and it's a great place to clear the head.
Who's the toughest opponent in training for you in Offaly?
I suppose Offaly, a few tricky enough corner forwards. I do play in the full back line, so I do have the pleasure, I suppose, of, as you could say, of marking those guys. So I suppose the toughest opponent in training for me over the years, probably Bernard Allen. He's very tricky, very good movement, very quick on his feet, and he's just hard to get to grips with sometimes in training. Yeah, he makes very good runs, and very accurate then when he gets a shot off. So I'm going to say Bernard Allen.
Who's the guy in the Offaly team that's the motivator before games and training and all that?
I suppose there's a lot of guys that would take on that mantle of motivating the team as a group, and especially in training when maybe things need a lift. There's a couple of guys there, but overall I think Martin Murphy, the manager, is a really good speaker and speaks really, really well, especially before matches. He's a passionate Offaly man, and that shines through then to the team. So Martin Murphy, definitely a really good motivator.
So Declan, on the way to games now on the team bus in Offaly, who's the DJ, or what way do you work? Would you be a headphones guy now, or would you listen to the boombox on the way, or what's your go-to? Personally,
I like chatting lads on the bus on the way to games, but Corey White always brings the boombox, and he'd have tunes going there, and yeah, he's quite good, to be honest. A couple of tunes that no one's ever really heard of, but no, they're quite good. And I suppose the main issue is that a couple of the older guys, Anton Sullivan and Nigel Dunn, just get a bit too loud for those guys, so they'd be looking for the tunes to be turned down, I suppose. So yeah, but overall, look, he's quite good, so I have very few complaints.
Any questionable tunes when you be in the Offaly dressing room?
Oh, there's always questionable tunes, yeah. The young lads especially, there's a lot of techno and all sorts going on, and as I said, the older guys are often complaining about the type of music that's being played, but it's a thankless task running the music. Yeah. So in fairness to Corey White, he's not doing too bad of a job, so we'll let him off the hook this time.